Hi there, it's Ingrid here. I want to spend some time showing you quickly using Dala clay how to make your very own little croissant. It looks difficult, but believe me, it's not as difficult as it looks. So let's get going. You have your Dala clay. Let me get that out of your way. Comes in the beautiful, beautiful range of colors. But of course the color we want is a base color for your croissant or any of your baked goodies. So if you want to do a donut or anything like that that's got like a chocolate chip cookie, that type of thing, you can also use this base. So how I made this base was I took some white with a little bit of brown and a little bit of yellow, touch of yellow, and then I added a little bit of pink as well, but like tiny amount of pink. And you just keep moving it around and around so that you've got the color that you're happy with. And as you can see also, it doesn't really matter if it's slightly off color because you're going to color it again when you're done. So to begin with, I'm going to take a piece off and put it to the side. And I've already preconditioned this clay. You may find when you first buy the clay that it feels a little bit, once you finish conditioning, it feels a bit sticky. Don't worry about that. It's only because it's a very new clay. And as you work with it, it will get easier to work with. So don't stress too much about that. If you do find that it gets a bit too sticky, you can always just put it to one side and it will take the stickiness off. Okay, so first step, make a ball. And then you're going to just make the two edges of your ball a little bit sharper so that you've got that kind of a shape. Keep using your hands to shape it and then make it into almost like a smiley face with tapered edges, or smiley mouth rather. Keep it nice and round. So try not to squish it too flat. If it's got a nice bumpy exterior, that's perfect because it is going to be a croissant and they are not smooth. So put that to the one side. Then take the rest that you've put aside and use your roller. This, I'm a bit of a cheat. I actually use the dotting rods from Dala and I take the biggest, thickest one and I use that for my rolling, which works perfectly. Okay, so you want to roll this out nice and thin. Really thin. You'll find as well if you get some bubbles, just give it a bit of a tug, get the bubbles out, work those bubbles out. Okay, so that's quite thin. Now I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to cut kind of a long, narrow triangle that's going to fit to the side of your croissant. So bearing in mind, that's going to be your second layer. You take that and using the wide side on your round side, wide side on your round side, you're going to just drape it over. You can pull it a little bit if you want to as well. And then use your knife. If you have these knives, just when you open it, don't open it like that. Open it like a lady, like that. Because if you open it like that, there's a very good chance you can slice your hand, and that's no joke. So be very careful with that knife. Okay, so just slice that off. And you can use your ball tool. I'm going to try and do this closer to the camera. Just pop it down, but don't squish it too much because you don't want to lose that ridge. Okay, now you're going to take the end of your triangle, which I've now ruined, so I'm going to just quickly cut another piece. Isn't it funny how it works perfectly every time, except when you want to do it on film, then it doesn't work so well. And put that over. So now you've basically got your shape of your croissant. Now you're going to take either, if you've got one of these tools, or you can use just a toothpick, but you want to start getting some texture. So you're going to just draw little lines. All the way around. So it's basically like scratching the texture in so it looks like flaky pastry. If you have got one of these little needle tools, you can use that. And then don't worry too much about underneath, because depending on what you want to use this for, but normally what I do is I'll use this on top of a little box or to decorate something like that. And then carry on with your texture. Sorry, this is taking so long. And just carry it all the way through. So obviously the more texture you put on, the more realistic it's going to look. So you can keep going on and on and on adding your texture. However, because of the video, I don't really want to take that much time. So you want to also then, I'm going to put that away, use a toothpick. You also want to kind of make sure that your edges where your pastry overlaps is standing out nicely so that it's very visible. So just push it up and push down the underside piece as well. Okay, now let's get rid of those extra pieces. Don't throw that away because you'll use it for other things as well. So the next thing you want to do is you want to now color your little piece. I'm going to put it onto a towel so I can put it closer. So you want to color your little croissant, and the best way, well, there are lots of ways to color your clay, but one of the ways is to use some chalk pastels. That is the best way. That's how I enjoy it. You can also use mica powder, you can use eyeshadow, you can also paint it after with acrylic paints. But I just feel that if you wanting to bake it all together in one go, this is the way to do it. So I'm going to take out my embarrassingly dirty pastels. Probably not the best way to store them. I'll take that one because it's cleaner. And then work from light to dark. So just use, I like to use this hog-hair brush because it's nice and rough. So it does help also with your textures. So just pick up some of the color. Do the light colors where you think your highlighted areas are going to be. And then I'm going to use this one. Another way you can do it as well, if you prefer, it's completely up to you as to what you're comfortable with, is to just grate off some of your pastel so it makes like a powder. This is also a lot easier because you can manage to pick up more. So pop that there. This is a nice, like a yellow ochre kind of color, which is very pretty. Now you want to go a little bit darker, so I'm going to use this kind of a light brown, like it's almost like a reddy brown, like a brick red. You're not going to cover the whole thing because you want some of the other colors to show through as well. So just kind of like tap it around. Use a little bit at a time because I always maintain it's a lot easier to add than it is to take it off. And go back to your yellow and keep mixing it up a little bit. And then I'm going to start concentrating it a little bit more on the raised areas where it could have gotten a little bit more heat. And then your darkest brown you're going to use just to add to your shading. So where your flaps of pastry overlap, just want it to stand up a little bit more, you can just put it slightly underneath where the flap is. Just to make it stand up. And then you still want to use it around the actual croissant itself, because otherwise it looks very kind of contrived that you only have it in that one area. I'm going to add some more. And you just keep on playing with it until you are happy with how it looks. Just be careful that you don't forget this area here, because otherwise it looks very bland and pale by comparison to the rest. And there you go. There's your cute little croissant. We'll be doing a few more foodie things, I think, in the future as well. But I hope you enjoyed that. Bye bye for now.